Director of Asco Legal. Today we're going to talk about some key considerations when looking to buy a business.
What are the key legal steps that someone needs to take before they consider buying a business?
I'd say get the agreement looked at by a lawyer, and the reason behind that is every business is different, and while there are some standard clauses, we talk through and make sure the conditions that are in there are appropriate and that the time frames of those conditions are realistic, and the custom clauses that you need to really make the transaction go through smoothly are there. An example would be work in progress. Every business is different, and how's that calculated come settlement, and it just avoids last minute headaches.
How can buyers make sure they get the correct legal and financial advice before buying a business?
I would suggest they engage specialists, so talking about lawyers who specialise in business sale and purchases. Many lawyers understand property, and that's great, but every business is different, and there's a lot of finer nuances in this area that property lawyers won't understand. It means that your specialist will give you the right targeted advice. They will ensure the process runs more smoothly because they've been through it many times. The same can be said for accountants as well. Not all accountants understand due diligence, financial due diligence when purchasing a business, and the banks often require forecasts, and that has to be a chartered accountant as well. So it's important to get the right specialists involved.
Okay. So what should buyers check in the sale and purchase agreement to ensure that they're protected?
It's important to make sure that the right assets are listed in the agreement, so they know what they're getting. Looking at the realistic timeframes of conditions as well. We're finding finance is taking up to 25 working days at the moment, so you don't want a scenario where you have to keep asking for extensions from the vendor for conditions, because they don't have to give extensions. And also ensuring things like your trading names and other warranties that would be associated or custom for that business are certainly in place.
Can you explain why due diligence is important when buying a business, and what areas buyers should focus on?
Due diligence is very important, that from a legal perspective you're not taking on risks that you haven't sort of worked and priced into. All businesses have risk, but just understanding what that risk is. And on the financial side, that it is generating the kind of money you're anticipating it to generate, because you're going to be taking on, most buyers, a lot of debt. They need to be able to service that debt. So we look at stuff like the leases, how much of the remaining term there is on the lease. Is there a market rent review coming up shortly? Is that likely to, we've seen market rent reviews post-settlement spike the rent up 20 to 30%, which can be significant. So those are the kind of things we look into and iron out. Are there issues with employees? Do they have the right to use the trading name? We found before once that could be an issue as well. So there are a lot of sort of things that can come out during due diligence, and we highlight those, and sometimes it's a deal breaker, other times you just price it in and move forward.
Are there any different considerations for buyers when buying a franchise business?
Oh, absolutely. So with a franchise business, you're buying the right to trade under a name and a system. So you'd need to look at we review and advise them on the terms of the franchise agreement. It's a 50-page document, so it's quite a lot to go through, but we know what to look at and what to sort of highlight. You're doing due diligence not on the actual business, but on the franchise as a system. There are some good franchise systems out there, and there's some franchise systems that aren't run very well. It can be detrimental to franchisees. So it just creates another layer. It's another party you need approval from. The franchisor has to approve your purchaser as well. So it's an interesting layer that it adds to a transaction like that.
Great.
Buying a business can be a daunting process, and if you're looking to have a conversation with someone before you're looking to commit, feel free to give us a call, and we'd be happy to have an initial conversation, obligation free.